Picture this. It's the dawn of 2025 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2025 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2025.
Good morning everybody. Great to have you here again. So how was your 2025? Have you actually achieved your results? Have you achieved the goals that you set out to do? Are you in the position that you envisaged you would be today, that you envisaged at the beginning of the year? Have you completed all those New Year's resolutions that you did? So this is the real question. Did you actually live by design, or did you actually live by default? So today we've got a really special guest, Glen Leece-Jones from Map for Life. He's going to be talking to us about how you can actually make sure that 2026 is going to be a successful year and you're going to achieve all the things that you want to set out to do. Because, you know, if you're going to build a house, what do? Do you just almost start building, or do you actually go along and plan it out? What do you actually do? And what do you do with your life in every respect? So today we're going to be talking to Glen, and he's going to be telling us a little bit more about that. But before we go ahead with that, let us just go around the room and welcome all our co-hosts. Let's ask Russell. Morning, Russell. How are you? Please introduce yourself.
Morning. Yes, I'm Russell John Fagan. I'm the owner of a company called OrbSpec. Our focus is business development, reputation management, and I do a masterclass in sales, a 12-week masterclass. I've been in sales all my life, different types of sales, from service to product, from grudge purchase like tires and exhausts and stuff like that. That was my very first business, to, you know, likable purchases that you want to buy things that you do like. You can't study sales at university, and that's what prompted me to start the masterclass, to help people to learn how to sell, specifically the psychology of sales. In a nutshell, that's who I am. I wear different other hats, but that's what I'm going to talk about. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks, Russell. Morning, Wilhelm. Please introduce yourself. Thanks for being here.
Good morning, David, and the rest of the team. Yes, it's a great privilege to be here today again. Yeah, I help leaders and teams unlock their full potential by improving leadership quality, mastering stress, and building trust-driven high-performance cultures. Using brain dominance and communication styles and team player assessment tools, I show businesses how to align strengths, prevent burnout, and 10x performance. Whether you're scaling or struggling, I help you build a team that works better together.
Welcome, Wilhelm. Great to have you here. Mana, morning. Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everybody. I'm Marna Ritz, owner of Inscorp Insurance Brokers. We are a short-term insurance brokerage where we take care of your assets while you do whatever you do in your business. So what we basically do is provide you a safety net for, you know, all those things that happen that you don't plan for. That's what I do. To provide you with a safety net so you can do your business. But
Wonderful.
I am really looking forward to Glen's talk. I mean, I've walked a road with him these couple of months, and the way he mapped it out is just amazing. So I'm looking forward to listening to Glen.
Thank you. Thanks, Mana. Yes, absolutely. So a little bit about myself before we go to Glen. So if you can see this book, Map Let me do it this way. There we are. So upside down. I've been using this book for a long time, and it's called Map for Life. And Ben's going to go into more detail about what it's about and about vision and how you actually make sure that life actually happens the way you want it to happen. And I've known Ben for many years now, and I've been using his system. And I must say, it's really turned my life around. And if I didn't use it, I promise you, I wouldn't have been able to achieve what I've been able to achieve in life. So that's what we're going to learn a little bit about today. As far as I'm concerned, I'm David Barr. I give you a voice, and hence Vision 2025. We're here to give you a voice so that you can be heard. So if you'd like to come on the program, come be a speaker, please contact me directly. Let me know your subject, and we'll see if we can fit you in. We run basically 4 programs. One is about business, one is a success interview, one is about business acumen, and the other is about innovative solutions. So if you believe you fit into any of those scenarios, please contact me, and we'll see if there's a slot open for you. Glen, morning to you. It's so good to have you here. Thank you so much. And Glen actually stepped in at the last minute because our previous speaker, as you might have seen, wasn't able to attend today. So Glen stepped up, and very appropriately, because this year it's 2025, next year 2026. So next year, look out for Vision 2026, because that's our name. We started this program in 2024, and we've now nearly run for 2 years. So thanks to all our listeners who come and listen to us and be here on a regular basis. We really appreciate you. Glen, please introduce yourself and take it away.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, David, and appreciate you all. Thank you, panel. Thank you all the people that are listening and watching. I trust that you're going to enjoy this. For me to actually do something like this, I actually need quite a bit of time. And so to put things together in the short time that I've got today is a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a whole bunch of different nuggets out, and trusting that those nuggets will be able to help you in terms of moving forward, and what I prefer to call mapping the way forward. I'm sure most of you have stepped into a boardroom and you've heard the CEO stand up and go, let's map the way forward. Okay, it's pretty standard terminology in the industry, and that's really what it's about for me. The topic is living by design and not default. I'd like to actually ask the panel right now, before we go any further, what do you think that means? Because I think many people listen to this and they go, oh, yeah, no, I'm living by design, or maybe I'm living by default. What do you think it actually means? Would one of you just step up to the plate and give me an answer on that? What do you see living by design or living by default actually means? Anyone?
I think, if I may, I'm going to jump in.
Go for it, Russell.
I think design and planning goes hand in hand. It's that old cliche, and I hate using it because it is just a cliche. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I see it a lot with the businesses and the people that I have done consulting for, is they don't have a plan. And when you do put a plan on the table, and like in business, what you do today, you only actually really see the result of it way down later. And I think that is why people don't plan, is because they want that plan that they've put in place right now to deliver the results right now. And when those results aren't delivered, they stop planning, or they stop mapping or designing.
Exactly, absolutely. Well, thanks, Russell. That's absolutely 100% correct. Interesting enough, when I really go into detail about this, there's a whole lot of aspects I look at. I look at the approach, I look at decision making, I look at influence, I look at outcomes, and I look at actions. But effectively, if I just take approach as an example, it's about being proactive and intentional. You are the architect or the CEO of your own life, and you make deliberate choices. And really, that's what it's about for me. So let me ask another question quickly. You don't have to answer this one. I often ask this question when I get to groups and I'm staying in front of groups. And it's simply this: have you got a written, documented plan, not for your business, but for your life? Have you got a written, documented plan for your life? The fascinating thing is most people say to me, no. Do you not think that your life is more important than the business? And so this whole aspect around planning, I think oftentimes we can all plan. I really don't think we have a problem about planning in the first place. The challenge comes in is, are we really planning the right things all the time? And again, I always use that example of the marriage. we spend 3 to 6 months planning the marriage day, which is wonderful. It's the most amazing, incredible thing. I agree. But how much time are we spending planning the marriage, which is meant to be for life? Okay. And so those are the aspects that I always look at when I'm talking to people. But let me go through a bit of a story over here quickly, and I'm gonna read a story to you, and it's by a lady by the name of Portia Nelson, and it's 5 chapters. Okay. Now immediately you're looking at me and you're going, but Glenn, how can you read 5 chapters when we've only got a short period of time? Okay, trust me, these chapters are very, very short. Okay, so but you'll get the picture when I talk about living by design or living by default. So here we go. This is a story about there's a hole in my sidewalk. Okay. And it's an autobiography from 5 chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter number 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I'm lost. I'm helpless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter number 2. See, it's going to be very quick. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend that I don't see it. I fall in again. I cannot believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter number 3. You know where this is going. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. And here's the crux. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. Taking responsibility. And I get out immediately. Chapter number 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk, but I walk around it. And chapter number 5, I walk down another street. And that, ladies and gentlemen, leads to significance. And that's the issue. Let me give you a quick example over here. I was doing tips that I gave every Friday at a Friday network club. And every Friday I would give a short little tip about business aspects and concepts and things like that. And one of the ladies came to me the one day and she said to me, Glenn, thank you so much for that tip last week. I actually implemented it and it worked like crazy. It was brilliant. We had incredible sales. And I thought, oh, well, fantastic. Someone's using it. That's great. And I walked away and this thought crossed my mind. Glenn, have you used it yourself? And it suddenly dawned on me, that we tend to do this continuously. We all fall in this trap of going down the same street over and over and over again. We keep on falling in the same hole, but we keep on blaming things around us and pointing at others instead of taking that responsibility and saying, let me do some planning here. Let me change that. Let me live by design and not by default. Okay. So let me come to that point that Russell spoke about, that whole cliche that he meant, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. Here's the interesting thing. Even if you fail to plan, if you're not planning, you are actually planning in any case because you're using someone else's plan. Because everyone else does things around you and you just fall into that trap and fall into that plan. So you ultimately are planning. Okay. Different perspective, different way to look at it. So as far as sales is concerned, and Russell, you'll enjoy this one as well. Here's a typical example of how this works. I'm busy making some phone calls, setting up appointments, things like that. And someone phones me and says, Glenn, I need to see you right now. And I drop everything and I run. Okay. Whose plan am I following? Mine or theirs? I'm following theirs. Okay. And this is the aspect around this whole concept about planning. We often talk about time management, but I believe life management precedes time management. The fascinating thing to me is if I really think about this carefully, time management is actually for business owners and corporates because they place you as an employee into this time management course to make 100% sure that you are managing your time effectively for them in terms of the 8 hours that you have to work. Think about that. But life management actually precedes time management. If you are managing your life, the time will flow automatically. So let me come back to the example. If I have my diary in front of me and someone phones me and they want to see me right now, but I've got an appointment on them, even if it's something that I've got that I'm doing, it doesn't matter. It's still an appointment. So if someone phones me and says, I need to see you now, I'm saying, I'm sorry, but I've got an appointment now. I can see you tomorrow or Saturday morning. Okay. And I give them that example. And that's the concept. You managing your time. Okay. You managing your life. Okay. Does that make sense? All right. Okay. Let me take it a step further. Who of you did New Year's resolutions at the beginning of this year or at the end of last year? Okay. And so many people don't do New Year's resolutions longer because they're sick and tired of their New Year's resolutions. All right. How do we do it? Come the end of the year and we go, we're going to do New Year's resolutions, and we go for it. We write things down, sometimes goals, because I think just writing down a New Year's resolution isn't necessarily a goal. Okay. I'll explain that a little bit later. But here's the point I want to make, is that literally within a very short space of time, that New Year's resolution is gone by the wayside. Why is that the case? Why do people set a goal and yet struggle to actually follow through with it? We often talk about the fact that we're not good finishers. We're good starters, we're not good finishers. Okay. And why is that? Again, I want to open up to the panel. Why would you say that is the case? Give me a couple of ideas. What do you think? Why do we not finish setting the goals?
I kind of think maybe you should write down your goals to see it every day. Just to say it doesn't mean anything. And in life happens and throw you off course most of the times. Well, in my case, that's what happens.
Absolutely.
May I add there, Glenn?
Yes, go for it, Russell.
What I've picked up with people, and it's even in business, New Year's resolutions for business or for life or for family, people don't follow through with it because they don't actually believe it.
Excellent.
They really don't believe it. It's nice. It's lip service, coming from abusive childhood. It was always, I will never do that again. Doesn't last. It's just for the moment.
Correct. Yeah.
Glenn, I can also add there. I think we don't stick to the plan. That's the problem. You think about something, but it's not part of your daily planning. You don't stick to the plan, and then crises just overpower that. You are busy with crisis management the whole time, and that drains so much energy from you that you don't stick to your plan and you just try to survive.
100% correct. Fantastic. Okay, David, one more from you.
Yeah, so I think first of all, it's about visualization. You visualize something, and then in a fleet of a moment, that visualization is gone because you haven't actually embedded it into either a document or a wall chart or something that you actually see every day. And then the motivation to do that actually lacks. And one thing that Wilhelm always talks about is feeling. Do you really feel like doing it? Do you feel like getting up in the morning? Do you feel like having a cup of coffee? Do you feel like, and that's the thing. So one needs to, the way that I do this is I give myself small rewards, on the way. But I'd love to hear what you have to say.
Fantastic. Well, you're all 100% correct. On the right track, no problems at all. To me, there's so many aspects around this, but I've put on 6 points here very quickly, and I'm going to touch on each of these. And I think these are so important. So I'll run through them very quickly, give you the all 6, and then I'm going to touch on each of them. Very first one, I think probably one of the most important ones is habits. Habits, okay. New ideas and new vision demands new habits, okay. But I'll go into more detail about that right now. And what's so important about habits for you to understand, and if you understand that, it makes so much more sense to be able to get that goal actually done and set up. The second one is consistency. I often speak about long-term consistency beats short-term intensity. Okay. It's great to have a lot of action. I hear so many coaches say, take massive action. But if I take someone and I throw them in the pool and they can't swim, trust me, they're going to take massive action, but they're probably going to get nowhere. Okay. It's about meaningful action, and that's important as well. So consistency, doing the right things, but being consistent about it. Okay. Incremental changes is the third one. Incremental changes. Again, what we typically do is we see this change that we want to do. We set this goal and we just go all out and we change everything all at the same time. it's just too much. Okay. And we tend to fail. We literally set ourselves up for failure. It's about those incremental changes that take place and that aggregation of marginal gains. I'll touch on that as well. The next one is number 4, accountability. Having a partner with you that's actually going to back you up. And yes, here's an aspect. If you set a goal, how about putting it out there in public that people physically see it and hear it? Because if you don't do it, guess what? You're going to look like a real, I won't say the word. Okay. So make it public, or at least, if nothing else, tell your spouse, tell your friends, tell your colleagues, and get them to back you and support you in that and walk alongside with you. Okay. Because that'll hold you accountable. The next one is lack of clarity and vision. And obviously, David actually spoke about that. And I'm going to touch quickly on the power of vision. All right. And then the last one is the correct goal setting. Not just goal setting, but the correct method of goal setting. Because again, I think people make a mistake and misunderstand that. Okay. So let me run through that very quickly. Habits. I always relate to a story by NASA, which actually did a bit of a test with some astronauts. They wanted to actually check and see what would it be like for the astronauts if they had to go up in space and work upside down and all kinds of things like that. What would it be like for them? Their blood pressure, their mind, the way they think, everything, mindset, you name it. And so they put them into an enclosed place with goggles that would turn everything upside down. And they had to literally use these goggles nonstop for a period of time. Sleep with them, work with them, drink with them, eat with them, you name it. So you can imagine what people went through. If you had to try and do everything upside down, quite difficult. Ultimately, this is what they learned. After a period of time, and it was typically around day 25, 26, 27, 28, specifically around day 28, every single one of those astronauts, even though they had the goggles on, they was turning everything upside down, everything flipped right side up again. Synapses in the brain had rewired. Okay. So here's the point when it comes to habits. If you want to put a new habit in place, it's got to be consistent. It's got to be done for at least 25 to 28 days for it to actually be a habit that you're actually going to stick with. And that's the challenge. New Year's resolutions and any goal, you typically tend to do it for a couple of days and then, let's skip it for now. And then we do it next week again and then leave it for 2 weeks and then we do it again. You literally start from scratch every time you do that. And that's why people fail all the time. Okay. The interesting thing is that we found that after 40 days of doing this consistently, the habit actually becomes a thing of, I'm actually enjoying this. It's 90 to 120 days that the habit becomes such a habit that you actually do it without even realizing it. And a typical example, you climb in the car, drive from A to B, and guess what? You arrive at B and you go, how the heck did I get here? Because you've been thinking about all kinds of other things. Okay. That habit is what we need to try and get to in terms of the goal set, in terms of the vision, in terms of the things that we want to do. All right. And it's not easy. Trust me, it's not easy. But you've got to get to that point where you actually do that. If you really want to achieve things in life and achieve those goals, that's what you've got to do. Okay. Let's go to the next point, that consistency. And I don't want to talk too much about this. I think we all fully understand and realize it's got to be consistent. That's the way it is. Okay. The incremental change is number 3. And again, I always use the example of Dave Brailsford. He was a coach, a cycling coach for the British team. They literally only won 1 gold medal in something like 100 years. And they asked him to come in and actually coach their team. And he said to them, I'll get you to win within 5 years. I'll get you to win the Tour de France. And they said, if you can do that, great. They won it in the 3rd year. Apparently, in the 4th year, I think they won something like 70% of the gold medals. What did he do? The aggregation of marginal gains. He took every aspect around cycling and he said, let's try and improve it by 1%. Literally 1%. That incremental change. Okay. He took the saddle, he took the spokes, he took the wheel, he took the bike itself, the frame. He even went to the point of their clothes and their sleeping patterns and the pillow on their bed. In other words, if they were happy with their pillow, they would take their pillow with when they went cycling, went to different places and took their pillow with and slept on it. I mean, that's how intricate it was. That 1% improvement. So my question is, if you can take everything in your business or in your personal life, write down a couple of things and start improving things by 1% on a daily basis, imagine what a difference it can make over a period of a year. Okay. And that's the aspect. All right. Next one is accountability. I think I've mentioned this already, and it's pretty obvious. Okay. Just get that support and make sure it's someone that's going to stick with you, because there are going to be times when you're going to fail. I've failed miserably this past year in terms of certain goals that I've done and certain things that I wanted. Okay. Miserably. But you know someone? I've got people that back me all the time, people that keep on saying, go for it, Glenn. I know you can do it. It's not over yet. By the way, here's an interesting point. Just interject quickly. When is the start of a year? Come on, panel. When is the start of a year? Exactly. Right now. Right now. We always tend to say, oh, we'll do it next year. We'll wait until next year and then we'll start it. No, for crying out loud. Your new year could start today. So why not start today in terms of these aspects and start doing that already? Literally within the next 2 months, you can put things in place to get you started and kick-started in January 2026. That will be absolutely incredible. Okay. And I've already started implementing that in terms of things that I'm going to do. All right. Lack of clarity and vision. I can literally speak for the next hour and a half on this, the power of vision. But let me touch on it very quickly. 828. Let me touch on a couple of aspects and I'll give you a couple of examples. I like to give stories and examples because that's what you're going to remember. Okay. So let me start off by saying the power of vision. What would you say is a definition of vision? Again, I'm going to open up to the panel. What would you say is a definition of vision?
Something that you see that is not existing as yet, but you see it in your mind's eye, and you believe it, and you start to behave like it, and then it becomes the reality.
Absolutely, 100% spot on. And I like what you said about seeing it, that it's in your mind's eye, and it's almost like an invisible thing. It's not necessarily something that you can touch as such. Okay. And that's the important thing. Sight is a function of the eyes. Vision is a function of the heart and mind. You do not have to have sight to have vision. Okay. It's such a powerful tool. And I always talk about this concept of the biggest nation in the world, which happens to be imagination. We all have imagination. We need to be using it not for nightmares, but for amazing, incredible dreams, incredible ideas, concepts, thoughts. Okay. And again, here's another nugget for you. There's a principle involved over here. When you get a thought, an idea, and have a dream or a vision, for crying out loud, people, pick up a pen and start writing it down. Okay. Don't just leave it in the back of your mind. Okay. I always joke about it. I say, it's over here somewhere. It's in the back of my mind somewhere. Okay. Don't do that. Write it down. There's something that happens when you put pen to paper and you physically write something down and then start planning it out and implement it and map that forward. Okay. Very important. Just a side thought. Here's a definition for you. If you're looking at vision, the word vision, the ability to think about or plan the future with imagination and wisdom. Okay. Let me repeat that very quickly. The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination or wisdom. And that's really what it's about. Okay. So let me give a couple of stories over here quickly that just explains this concept about vision. Okay. Because we so often think about sight when we talk about vision. And it's not just about sight. Oftentimes, vision is something that hasn't even been seen yet. It hasn't even been started yet. It hasn't even been created yet. All right. So let me give you a story quickly. The first story I want to give you is about a monastery in Thailand, Bangkok. And the government wanted to build a highway through this monastery. And it was very difficult for them to go outside of the monastery or past the monastery because of the lie of the land. And so they discussed it with the monastery and said to the monks, look, we need to do this. We have to break down your monastery. And they said, forget it. There's a Buddha, an 11-foot clay Buddha, smack bang in the middle of this monastery. We are not moving him. Forget it. Out of the question. Months later, after many discussions, they finally came to the table and said, we will build you a new monastery. We'll physically come and bring a crane, pick up your Buddha and move it for you, no cost to you whatsoever. They finally conceded and they said, okay, cool, let's do it. The day came when they started moving this Buddha, and unfortunately the clay started crumbling. By the time they got it to the new position and put it down, all the clay had crumbled off. And guess what was revealed? Pure gold. Okay. Oftentimes, we look at something and we have a perspective about something, but we don't necessarily see the truth. Okay. And oftentimes, we have a perspective about a vision, an idea, a concept, a goal, and meantime, there's resources around us, there's things around us that we can actually use and apply that can actually help us to achieve things, and we don't see the wood for the trees. We just see the clay, we're not seeing the pure gold. Okay. Oftentimes, the three things that stop us is money, time, and skill and knowledge. So we have a vision. I get this amazing, incredible vision. I'm thinking, yeah, this is amazing, this is incredible. And one of the first things that stop me is I go, I don't have the money for that, so push it aside. I just don't have the time right now to do this, so push it aside. Man alive, I can't do this. I don't have the skill and knowledge for this, so push it aside. Okay. Write it down, for crying out loud, and step into it. Take that first step, and trust me, the resources will begin to happen, and things will begin to change and work towards that. If you have that vision and stick with that vision, that power of vision. Okay. Let me give you another story very quickly, and I'll start ending off. There was a young man in college, and this is many, many years ago, and he had this vision and idea of overnight mail, which didn't exist at the time. He's in America, and he wrote a paper in his economics class. Went to the professor, handed his paper, and a couple of days later, the professor called him up and said, here's your paper, and gave it back to him. And he had marked a big fat C on the paper, gave him a C, okay, and wrote next to it, do not dream of things that cannot happen. Wow. Do not dream of things that cannot happen. You know who that man was? The young man who wrote that paper? He stepped out and created Federal Express. So I really think that professor is probably eating his words. But here's the ultimate point I want to make. That young man could have taken that vision and thought, well, the professor's the professor. I mean, he knows what he's talking about. So let's push this aside and not do it. I'm not going to be able to manage it because it's not possible. Okay. Do not dream of things that cannot happen. I really believe that we need to start dreaming again. And we need to start dreaming big, hairy, audacious goals. Okay. I need you to start thinking now already about 2026. And what is it that you want to achieve in 2026? And even the things that you haven't achieved this year, don't see it as failure. See it as simply a time factor and push it out. And if it's something that you really feel this is important, you really want to continue to do this, then go ahead. Just because you haven't achieved it to this date doesn't mean to say that it's failure. It just means the date moves on. Okay? The target remains the same in terms of what you want, but the target date can change. So don't think it is failure. Pat yourself on the back and say, hey, cool, we made a bit of a blue, let's move on. Okay. The last aspect I want to chat to you about very quickly over here on those points, those various points that I spoke about. Habits, consistency, incremental changes, accountability, lack of clarity and vision, and correct goal setting. Correct goal setting. I think oftentimes we pick up a pen and we write something down and we go, oh, this is the goal. How much of what by when? Great. And off we go. I don't believe that that's good enough. I believe it needs to be done better. And again, I want a quick example here. I was going to gym many, many years ago, and I'd been going to gym, physical gym with weights and training. I was going to gym 4 times a week, sometimes 5 times a week. And over a period of 6 months, I wasn't really seeing any changes. I mean, nothing really major. Yeah, a little bit there, getting a little bit fitter, but nothing serious. And I was thinking, I'm sweating my rear end off here almost every day in the gym and not getting anywhere. What is the problem here? I picked up a book by Bill Phillips called Body for Life Challenge. And I started reading that book, and I began to realize there's a whole lot of aspects around the training that need to be looked at and applied and implemented. The correct eating, the correct drinking, the things that I'm drinking, mainly water, and good water, decent water, filter water. How I train, the breathing when I'm training, the right training for the right muscles, the time between different training sessions, etc., etc. There's so many aspects around that. Needless to say, I again started taking those aspects and doing incremental changes, applying those principles, exactly what I've discussed right now. And within 12 weeks, I saw a change in me that was like incredible. I could not believe it. I don't weigh much. I'm sure most of you know me. I don't weigh much. I'm quite small. I'm very small boned. I only weigh about 64 kilograms. I literally in 12 weeks pushed myself up to 72 kilograms, pure muscle mass. Okay. My fat percentage had dropped below 4%. In fact, it was 3.2% at the time. Okay. And I was looking good. I mean, I was really looking good. And I could not believe the change in 12 weeks that I couldn't do in 6 months. It was fascinating by simply implementing those little changes. So here's the point I want to make in terms of this goal setting. There are certain aspects and a formula that you can use in terms of the goal setting process that can make a massive change in terms of going forward and setting the goal. Okay. So I talk about the secret 7-step formula. It's not really a secret. But what I will do is, if anyone's interested, you can make contact with me and I'll give you that information, and I'll give it to you in far more detail than what I'm going to do right now. Right now, all I'm going to say is simply a couple of points of the methodology that you need to use. So number one, you need to know what you want. It's pretty obvious. Number two, you need to know when you want it. Pretty obvious as well. Okay. Number three, you need to list the rewards and consequences of whether you achieve this or not. Very important aspect that. Okay. Number four, you need to identify potential obstacles. Trust me, you will never list all the obstacles that you will overcome, that you will get in the future. You won't. We didn't know that COVID was going to happen. It happened. But try and put down as many obstacles that you can think of that could take place and how you're going to overcome it. Because if you do that and it does happen, it's not an issue. Okay. Next one is determine the skills and knowledge that you must acquire. Okay. And that leads me to the next point. Compile a list of the people, groups, and organizations you need to associate with. So I'm just going to go back to the previous point. Determine the skills and knowledge you must acquire. And the next point is compile a list of the people, groups, and organizations you need to associate with. Let me stop there very quickly. It fascinates me how many times I've made contact with someone, a very prominent person, that would probably never have spoken to me. I make contact with them. I say to them, listen, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I've got this particular goal. I've got this particular thing. I have this dream. I have this vision. I would really love to be able to sit down with you and have a chat with you, have a cup of coffee. I'll pay for the coffee. I'll even take you out for breakfast. But would you grant me some time? I'd like to throw some ideas at you and get your feedback. I have never had one of those people say no to me. It's fascinating. They want to help. They want to give their support. And it is incredible the amount of information that you can glean from that type of person. And they will help you. So do it. Okay. The last point is simply design, there's that word again, design a clear step-by-step action plan. And if you follow through these steps, and I have a particular document which you use in Map for Life that you can actually use that literally steps this all out for you. And I talk about a goal verification process. When you've worked through this process, you can literally step back and go, okay, is this really worth it? Is this really something that I want to do? Or is this just too much hassle? Is it really a passion and a desire for me? Is it really something that Valentin spoke about as well? That passion and desire that I'm going to do it. I feel for this, man. I'm feeling it. Or is it, I don't think this is going to work for me. Imagine how much time and effort you are going to save if you stop there versus running for the next 6 months to a year on this so-called goal and come to the end of the year and you go, I'm not going to do this any longer. Give it up. Okay. All right. I think I've said enough for now. I'd like to open up for questions and things like that, and let's chat a bit about. We don't have much time left, so let me stop there. I've got so much more to give, but I'm going to stop. Let me stop there, and let's go from there.
Wow, Glenn, that was amazing. Thank you so much. It's an amazing number of gems there that you've shared, and thanks for doing that. And you know, one of the things that stood out for me, which is really powerful, is your story about going to gym and doing the 12-week program. I've got a similar story. Also went to gym for months and basically saw no change. But then when I start doing it right, and I did the 12-week program, and they basically, you know, put down exactly as you said, what you got to do, when you got to eat, what you got to eat, when you're going to drink, how you're going to breathe, how you're going to stretch. I remember that was a very important thing I never did before. Stretching before, stretching afterwards. And I also changed in 12 weeks. I saw a huge difference. I took a photograph before and afterwards. It was like two different people. I've still got the one after photograph on my mantle. I'll look at that and say, I should do it again. And but the thing that stood out for me there was that before I did it, but with no real decision making in my own mind, not doing it right, not identifying and following it the right way. And when I did it the right way, change happened. And I think that's something that's important for all of us to understand. And for me too, you know, do it the right way and things will happen. If you don't, it's not going to happen. But let's go around the room and ask about takeaways. I'm going to start with Mana. Mana, what is your takeaway? And if you have got a short story to share about something that's happened in your life with regard to vision. And I see our time, we're going to go a little bit over time, if that's okay. But Mana, over to you.
Yes, I think my biggest takeaway today was I'm so glad that you talked about that. It's about dreaming. I think for the longest time in my life, I was juggling heartache, hardship, heartbreaking stories that I can tell you for ages. That you kind of don't think that dreaming fits into your life. It kind of feels like a luxury. You don't dare to dream. And also it comes back to believing in yourself. You kind of lose yourself in juggling everything and just to stay alive and to stay on top of everything. But I realized this morning while you were talking that dreaming is actually not a luxury. It's my right as a human being that I'm allowed to dream. And thank you for that. I really needed to hear that today because you seem to focus on the negative side and not the positive, because nothing good is going to happen to you anyway, because that's your belief. Because if you've juggled so many things over the last couple of years that you don't think good things can happen to you. So that's my takeaway, dare to dream.
Wow, thanks, Mana. Thank you. Let's go to Wilhelm. Wilhelm, what's your big takeaway from today?
Yeah, well, thank you, David. Thank you, Glenn. That was absolutely incredible again. Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, we can keep on talking about this because this is also my passion. But I always think about quality of life. Do you have quality of life? And I don't talk about life quality. People have a car and a house and things and whatever, but the quality of life is that something more. That is that you really enjoy life, that life is a balanced thing. And you know, you started off with planning. Now planning actually gives you energy. You know, I'm the energy coach. I talk about life energy. I always think about, is something giving me energy or is it draining my energy? Now, when you plan, it actually gives you energy. You are excited about this plan that you put in place. If you don't plan, it drains a lot of your energy because the whole time you are worried about where's the hole in the road, you know, because there's some hole there. And it drains a lot of energy just because you are uncertain about life. And the moment when you set your goals and you achieve things, it gives you so much energy again. It boosts you. Setting goals also, I always say you must activate all your energy tanks. When you set a goal, it must be meaningful and purposeful for you. You must feel good about it. The emotional, it must stimulate your brain, your mindset, because if you set a goal and it's not challenging in your mind, then why do it? And socially, it must also, develop you socially. You must connect to people. It must bring in some money maybe, or there's some reward, but also you need to add value to life, and that's your work now, to add value. So if you set your goals in that, with that ingredients, then I believe it's very powerful, and then you stick to it. Otherwise, you fall out of that habit again. One can fall out of the habit again. David talked about you must go back to that lifestyle of exercise. You should have stayed in that, not go back to it. And that's why do we fall out? And we need to keep on having that vision, believe. And the moment when you believe something, there's that vision. There's something that happened in your system. As Glenn actually mentioned, things come to you. You are more motivated. You have more overcoming power of the obstacles that come to you. The resources come to you, and you have the energy to keep on keeping on. And then it becomes a lifestyle, and things change for you. So thank you, Glenn. That was absolutely fantastic. And it's more than we can actually comprehend now. So we need to sit and think about these things. And that's the battle of life now. We tend to gravitate downwards instead of going up and working towards getting better and better and better. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Willem. Thank you. Russell, what was your takeaway for today?
A year ago, I started reading a book, and I've read it now twice. It's a book by Joseph Murphy, Dr. Joseph Murphy, called The Power of the Subconscious Mind, where he talks about how you have the power within to be able to reach whatever goals you want, whatever, be it physical goals, be it emotional goals, be it health. And it's all about the subconscious mind, and it's all about your conscious mind steering the ship, and the engine in the ship is your subconscious. It doesn't see where you're going, but it does. It's your breathing, it's your heartbeat, it's your liver function. That's all controlled by the subconscious mind. A little bit before that, I actually read this Portia Nielsen's 5 chapters. And when I came to chapter 5, when I understood chapter 5, and I related it to business, what I did was I said, well, okay, wait a minute. If you're doing the same thing all the time, I'm talking about the same type of business, you're always going to find a different pothole, because that is what business is. So how do you overcome those potholes? Is you actually don't overcome the potholes. You just go and walk down multiple streets, have multiple income streams. So when you are in the pothole of the one and you need time to get out, the diversity of doing something else actually lifts you out of the pothole of where you are, or the hole that you are in another business. Hence, since then, and I've seen how my business and how my potential income and how my income has grown because I've had these multiple ideas. The last thing I want to touch on, and I love everything that you said, Len, I really do. There's a lot of beautiful golden nuggets here that, it's reminders as well as new. But the one thing that I've always had a problem with accountability. So I've done the Robin Banks. I'm a lifer with Robin Banks. So I do his stuff constantly and so on. I was again on a seminar on, I think, Tuesday night. But the accountability partners only has value. And this is what I do with reputation management, is if you're accountable to yourself first and foremost. Because I can see these accountability groups and I see how people tick all the right boxes. But I know I used to tick those boxes and I didn't do it. And that's when I started asking myself, but who am I bullshitting you anyway? Okay. First of all, be accountable to myself. I must be self-responsible, self-accountable. And when I'm self-responsible and self-accountable, it actually ignites my reputation. And that's what's part of my reputation program. But if you put all of those things together, you know what? Everything starts and ends with you, not your business partner, not your market, not your product. You can have the best product, but if you've got the wrong attitude, you're not going to be able to have a breakthrough. People will buy your product because it's good, but it's not a sustainable thing, because at the end of the day, people buy from people. So the inward reflection of what Murphy teaches, I see you've got the book, Willem, the inner focus is what starts everything. And I think therein lies the success. And I'm speaking out of experience. I've been successful in business for many, many years, but I wasn't really successful, because if I look back and I look at, did I change people's lives? No, I didn't. I just sold a good product. I did a good service, but I didn't bring a tangible change to society, to my family, to people through that I was doing, because I was never responsible to myself. I did it because I was paid to do it. I had a job. I didn't want to lose my job. And when all of that dynamics changed, and I'm thinking, if you can become a whole person in that understanding, you follow these brilliant pieces of truths that Glenn has given, it becomes a win-win solution for self, and then a win-win solution for those around you. Thanks, David. Again, I've got a lot to say, but thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Russell. Thanks, Wilhelm. Thanks, Marna. Glenn, what is your final takeaway, and what would you like? Is there any call to action that you have? How can people get hold of you? I see you've got your number there. Yeah, please.
Great stuff. Thanks very much. Just to add to what Russell was talking about as well. Interesting enough, the third chapter of Portia Nelson's autobiography, is literally when falling into that hole for the umpteenth time. It's a case of, she actually says, I know where I am. It is my fault. And so you're 100% correct. It all starts with you. We have to make decisions daily, and we've got to make those right decisions. There's so much more that I can give, and I wanted to perhaps end with a statement here. And here it comes. We were placed on earth to fulfill a purpose which gives meaning to our lives. You were sent to the world to make an impact and a difference. And I think that's something that we all need to just think of and consider, which is exactly what Russell spoke about as well, in the concept of, did I actually make a difference in someone's life? It's not just about selling a product or selling a service. It goes way beyond that. It really does. And if you look at it from that perspective, things change. It really does change. I'm going to say this, and I know I say it almost tongue-in-cheek, but it's not about the money, for crying out loud. The money's great. We take the money, obviously, but it's so that you get so much satisfaction of seeing people change and seeing things happen in people's lives around you. It's just money can't buy that. Okay, so I'd like to leave you with that. We're going to be doing some courses regarding the Map for Life day course, as well as like a seminar which gives a whole bunch of information and talking about 2026. I'm going to pop it in the chat quickly. There's 2 links. You're welcome to join us there and go and have a look. It'll be great to see you there. But thank you so much, David, and the panel. I love doing this. It's my passion, so I really enjoy it. Thank you very much. Bless you guys.
Fantastic, Glenn. Thank you so much. Glenn, what there is a date that you have. I think it's Saturday in November. Do you want to just mention that and what's happening there? Are you muted? Glenn, you're muted.
Beg your pardon. There we go. Beg your pardon. I just popped into the chat now, the 2 dates and the links. So everything's on the links, all the detail, all the information, and everything's there. The first one for the 15th is a full day workshop. Mana and David has been to that already. I think they can give feedback on that. And the next one is only in the morning. In both cases, it'll be the founder of Map for Life, Glenn McQuirk, who's actually talking. He's an international speaker and really speaks very well, got incredible information to give. So, yeah, make a plan to be there. It'll really be awesome. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you, Glenn. I must say, I did attend that meeting, and, that course, it was actually a day course. And one of the things that, which was Glenn McQuirk, he was talking, and, he was asking about purpose. And, I suddenly realized what my purpose is. And my purpose is to give you a voice. And I never realized that before. It was like such clarity that came to my own self. And it actually, I could see it just embedded in myself. It was part of what I do. I give you a voice. I give you a voice through One eSIM, give you global connectivity. I give you a voice through Vision 2025, where you can come and share and share your ideas and your thoughts and your experience with people. I give you a voice through a bit of architecture, where I actually take what's yours and what you want and to get you additional work. I give you a voice. And that came through the course which I did with Glenn McQuirk. So a really good course. I really recommend it. I'd like to thank each of you for being here today, and for all our listeners. Thank you. Really great for you to be here. Next week, we're going to have another program. We're going to do something a little bit different. So come and join us. And it will be really nice to do this again. We do this every week. This is one of our commitments that we've made. It's consistency. We do this every week. We've started this program in the beginning, actually 2023, end of 2023, we started this. We ran for the whole 24. We ran the whole 25 nearly, and we're going to run the whole 26 and so on. So thanks to the co-hosts for being up, showing up every single week, being consistent. Thank you. And and hopefully we're touching lives out there and changing their lives. Thank you so much. Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Marna. Thanks, Russell. Thanks, Philip. I'm going to play the video that we played last time. It's a video of 2025 and how did you do? Over to you. Cheerio, guys. Thank you. Bye. See you next week.
Picture this. It's the dawn of 2025 and you're poised for success. Why? Because you've established your why. This isn't just a whim or a hobby. It's the passion that propels you forward, the core of your ambition. Next, you assess your current position. Where do you stand? What are your strengths, your weaknesses? Honesty is key here. Now envisage your destination. What do you want to achieve by the end of this year? Set those goals. Make them smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. With your destination locked, it's time to map out your plan. Break down your goals into manageable steps, then start stepping. Remember, action without reflection is aimless. Record your results, analyze your performance, and adjust your plan accordingly. The path to success in 2025 isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. Take meaningful action, keep your eye on the prize, and continually strive for improvement. Here's to a successful 2025.